Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System. And I wanted to do something a little different again. I wanted to go all arty. And I was looking at some art deco, and I wanted to do something sort of art deco-ish. A lot of the buildings and things that were built back in that time and even some of the clothing were really kind of amazing, the structure of them. And I thought that would translate so well into jewelry, which it did. I'm doing something a lot more different because we're not going to have the opulence that they had back in the 20s and 30s when this was a style. So what I thought we would do is just make something that I thought was a cross between Art Deco and maybe modern art. So I am going to we're going to make a bracelet. I'm going to use some of our um, paper beads that I got from Ghana and some stone beads and some seed beads. And those are the only kinds of beads that you will need, that I will need. You just need 3 sizes. And the way the design is, you can use all kinds of beads. You do not have to use the beads that I'm using, but I do need 3 different sizes. And one thing that's very important is that you have to make sure that the holes are big enough for the wire that we're going to use to pass through the drilled part twice. So I'm using 24 gauge wire. You can use 24, 26. If you have beads with holes big enough for 22 gauge wire, you can do that. There's a lot of wooden beads that would easily take that, but this does not require a particular type of bead except for that specification. That is one of the reasons why I wanted to use the paper beads, because they've got nice, usually have large drilled holes. So for this, I'm using paper beads, stone beads, and seed beads. I'm using 24 gauge wire. Those of you who get kits will get either 24 or 26 gauge wire. Very easy to manipulate and very malleable to work with. So it's really nice, and it will fit through the holes in the beads. So that again is probably of the utmost importance with this particular design. So we'll be using 2 types of wire, 24 gauge, and I'm using 20 gauge as well, just a small piece because I'm going to make my own clasp. We also need jump rings. So beads, jump rings, wire. Those are the 3 components of this bracelet. You'll need your regular pliers, your round nose pliers, your square pliers, and cutters. You'll also need a ruler to measure your wire. Those are all of the things that we need. So let's get down here to the other to the mat and see what we're going to put together. So these are the beads that I'm using. I'm using paper beads that I got from Ghana. Those of you who get kits, again, will be also getting paper beads that come from Ghana. We're supporting a village, which I always like. I'm going to use 6mm stone beads as well, and little what is it, number 4? Oh, I can't think of the number, but the largest size seed beads is what I'm also using. I'm also using 24 gauge wire for this particular part of the video. So what we're going to do is measure out. We want to measure out 3.5 inches of wire. Now, it depends on the type of beads that you use and the size of beads that you use. That's what determines how much wire you need. So you need to measure your beads, all the beads that will go on this particular piece. In this case, it's going to go on like this. You need to measure those beads and then give yourself another inch on each side of those beads. I take it back. you need to you need to measure these beads And then you're also going to be adding this. So add all of these beads together. For me, that's about a little over an inch, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was an inch and an eighth or an inch and a quarter. It's a little over an inch and an eighth, not quite an inch and a quarter. And I need a good inch on either side of all of my beads. So whatever that measurement is, just make sure you have an inch on each side, and you should have enough to make your loop and to make your wraps. It also depends on how big you make your loop. The size that I'm making will just require an inch on each side. So what I'm going to do is take my little 3.5, yeah, my little 3.5 inches of wire, and I'm going to put on my center bead, which is going to be this nice purple paper bead. And then I'm going to put my seed beads on each side. So I'm going to put one on one side and one on the other side. Let's get back here where we can see. One on one side, one on the other side. And both of these wires need to go through your beads, which is why I said you need to make sure that they can accommodate two wires at the same time. Okay, so I've got all my beads on. I want to go to the center of my wire, right there to the center. You can measure it if you want to, put it on a ruler and see exactly where that center is. I'm just eyeballing it. And then what I'm going to do is bend one wire to one side and the other wire to the other side, just like that. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. One wire to one side, other wire to the other side. And you want to make sure that you've got the right wires going the right way. So let's make sure that this wire is the same as this wire. Move it, and that wire should move. Yes. So I got the right wires going the right direction. And then I'm going to take the two wires on one side, and I'm going to shape them into a little, I'm going to give them a little shaping on one side. Let's up there. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take the wire on one side, each of the wires, and I'm just going to squeeze it into a little curve on the side. It's right there following the curve of the bead, just like that. Bring this down. Oh, the camera came off its little stand. Get back on there. Camera malfunction. There we go. Let's get on there. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Snap on. You can do it. Oh my goodness. There. Oh my. Ooh. That's better. There. Okay. So I followed the shape of the beads on one side, so that's what I have. And I'm going to go over to the other side and do the same thing. Just squeeze that down. There we go. And again, I'm using 24 gauge wire. You'll either have 24 or 26 in the kits. It is very, very malleable. So it will do what you want it to do. So that's what I have so far. Here we can see better, I think. There. There it is. And so now what I'm going to do is put my stone beads on. I'll put one on one side. Again, both of the wires through the stone bead. Push them up to where the two wires meet. And then I'm going to bend my wire towards the front. This is the side, this is going up and down, and this is the front and the back. So I'm going to bend my wire to the front or the back of the bead. And I want them to be side by side. I don't want them crossed over like that. I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. You can bend those two wires to the front or the back. There we go. Squeeze them together and bend the wire. Oh, put the bead on first, Virginia. So put my stone bead on first. There we go. Slide it up until it gets to the point where both meats are just coming off the top, and bend my wire back. And again, they're side by side, not crossing over. And now we're going to make a loop. Now you see why I said you need a good inch on either side so that you have enough to wrap. Okay, so I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I'm going to slide the wire down about a third of the way down my pliers, about a third of the way from the tip. Then I'm going to bring my wire over the top of my pliers and down the side like so. And I'm going to hold on to my beads because they're going to wiggle because this wire is very thin and it will move. So I'm going to hold on to my beads and just push my wire under my pliers, in between my pliers and my bead, until I have a loop. Just like that. Then for the sake of ease, I'm going to take my pliers out and flip them around. Now, the other thing is, because your pliers get gradually small going toward the tip, and you have two wires here, the one wire that's on the outside, the closer to the tip, is going to be a little smaller than the other wire when you make your loop. So I've been working like this. So I've been working like this. So this wire right here is a little bigger than this wire. So if I turn it around before I complete it and put it back in, then that way I can make sure that the other wire is the same size as the wire that was on this side to begin with. Just a little trick. Now I'm going to take the tail of my wire and bring it under the pliers, between the pliers and the bead, and wrap it. And I only need one wrap. So I've gone halfway around. I'm going to take my pliers out, turn them back around, turn them around to the other side, and wrap it the rest of the way around. Again, I only need one wrap around just to enclose my loop. Now I'm going to clip off these wires. Just clip the little tail off. That. And you can clip them off one at a time, but if you can grab them both at the same time, that's even better. Okay, get rid of those little tails. And this is a little bit longer than the other one, so I'm going to give it another little snip. And notice how I hold my hand under it, because I don't want those little pieces of wire flying all over. Okay. And once I've done that, it's still a little bit longer than the other one. Come off of there. Gotta grab it. There we go. Now, once I've got that clip down nice and short, I'm going to take my flat pliers and push those little ends down as close as I can get to the other wires, so it's not sticking up and waiting to snag something. When I can run my finger over it and not get stuck, I know I've done a good job. So then if I need to adjust my loops at all, I just put my pliers back in there and make whatever adjustment I need, and there's my loop. Let's go to the other side and make my loop. Slide my wire down about 1/3 of the way down my pliers, just like on the other side. Make sure my wires are side by side and not crossed over. Nice and close together. Here we go. Bring the tail of wire over the top of my pliers and down the side, like so. Take that out, turn it around, slide my wire back in so I can make sure this wire that was on the other side that was smaller is about the same size as the other one. Bring my wire under my pliers, between my pliers and my bead until I have a loop. And now I'm going to wrap it. Holding on to my bead, I'm just going to push that tail of wire between my pliers and my bead. Wrap it halfway around. I'm going to turn my wire around again, take my pliers out, turn my bead, and push it the rest of the way under. Let's get that a little closer. There we go. Then I'm going to grab my cutters and snip off these little tails. And again, if you can do them both at the same time, that's great. If not, if you're more comfortable doing them one at a time, then please do so. Snip those off. Caught those little tails in my hand. Put them off to the side. Let's see if it's as short as I want. I think I can go a little bit shorter. Get back in there. Lift it up a little bit. Cut that off and get rid of those little tips. And now let's push the little ends down as close as I can get to those other wraps. Sometimes I can squeeze it in between the other wraps, nice and snug. There. Nice. And then I can go in with my pliers, my round pliers, and adjust my loop if I need to. I think I see a little piece of that still poking up. I'm going to go back in, push that down. Here we go. Nice. That's my little loop. There. And there is my first link. Neat, huh? Isn't that cute? Nice. Now let's go ahead and make my little connector. I'm going to use the same type of pattern, but I'm just using these off to the side because I'm going to make 3 of these for my centerpiece. I was just going to do these all the way around, but it turned out that it would be an even number of these, and that never sits not so much comfortably on my wrist. It just doesn't look as good if you have an even number, because it ends up with the beads that you want to show off to the side like this, and then the links in the center. I really want these to be the centerpiece. So I have one there, and one there. Oh, isn't that neat? I love it. All right. Now my other link is going to be another one of the stones and two of the seed beads. So I'm going to grab my beads, and it's going to be the same wrap except with fewer beads. So I'm going to grab my stone bead. I'm going to put that on. I love this agate stone. It's really pretty. Not a color I would normally choose, so I like doing something a little different. I'm going to make sure that the tips of my wire are about the same length. Push my little stone to the center. And then I'm going to bend one wire to one side. And I want the wire that's on this side to go this way, and the other wire to go the other way. So that's what I have so far. Just spread them out. Go over to the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now I want to make sure that the wire that I bend to this side is this one. So I'm going to move it around to see what moves. See, it's actually this one. So let's push it over here where it belongs. Check again. That's the right wire. And I'm going to bring that wire over around the bead to meet the other one. Just like that. And before I go any further, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Bring that wire over. And so this is what I have. There. And then I'm going to smooth it down. I'm going to squeeze the wires together so I have that nice little shapely shape on the side here. Like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Let's bring that a little bit more. There we go. I just want to bring the both wires to the center and have a nice little shape on the side. Just like that. So that's what I have. Cute. And then I'm going to put one seed bead on one side. And again, I'm going to bend the wire to what is the front of my bead here. This is the top, this is the bottom, the front, and the back. I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Slide my wire on, my bead on, and bend the wire either to the front or the back. It depends on what works for you. I kind of like them on the opposite side because I think it makes it easier for me to wrap it if I don't have to worry about bumping into the same one, the one on the other side. Oops, get back over there. Get back up there. There. Okay, I'll put them both on both sides. They're telling me they want to be on the same side. So there we go. I should have gone ahead and fixed that one before I even tried to do the other side, because now it wants to slide off. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to that, and I'm going to make a loop just like I did on the other side. Slide my wire about a third of the way down my pliers. I'm going to bring that over the top and down the side. Now, before I go any further, because this one's threatening to fall off, I'm going to go on over there and do the same thing, because it's just being cantankerous. Slide my wire down about a third of the way down my pliers. Okay, and bring the wire over the top and down. side. And this is why I said I would have liked the other one on the other side, because now I've got those both sitting on the same side. And one's in the way of the other to me. Okay, and then I turn over the other side so that both of my wires can be close to the same size. And I'm going to bring the wire the rest of the way. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Under my pliers until I have a loop. Here's my loop. I'm going to bring that wire around under my pliers and over my bead one time and all the way around. And it just needs to be one wrap. There we go. Then I'm going to clip off this tail. I like to lift it away from the loop so I don't mistakenly snip into my loop. Lift that off. And I'm going to go to the other side and do this one because this is poking me. And then we'll finish by pushing the edges down. Okay. Let's bring that tip under. Make sure that my loops are the same size. Nice. Bring that tail under my loop and over the top of my bead and wrap it around one full time. Okay. Flip off that tail here. Snip that off. Either one at a time or both at the same time, your choice. Snip this off. Let's get rid of these little ends. Don't need those sitting there. And let's push down that little tip. Let's cut it off a little closer. Just a little bit. Get it as close as I want. Yes, nice. Grab your flat pliers and push down that little tip. See if anything's sticking up. I can still feel it just a little bit. There we go. Then I'll go back in with my round pliers and just reshape my little loop if it's a little out of whack. There we go. And there's my second link. And it looks like that. There it is. Nice, cute. Neaten that a little bit. There we go. And again, this wire is very malleable, so you can make whatever adjustments you need pretty easily. Nice. So there are my two different links that I'm going to use. We're going to put those together with jump rings. Yes. So I'm going to use these little jump rings and attach everything. So what is the proper way to open a jump ring? Well, let's just see, shall we? Okay, so what I want to do, there's several ways you can do it. If they're large enough, you can just twist it with your fingers. These are pretty small. I'm using 6 millimeter. So what I'm going to do is grab one side of my ring. Here's a little opening right there. Find that first. Put one pair of pliers on one side, another pair of pliers on the other side, and just, oops, and come on. One on one side, one on the other side, and twist it open. Just like that. Easy peasy. The other way you can do it is to, the third way you can do it is to grab one side beside the opening and push down with your thumb or your fingers. Sometimes I can't do that because they're so strong. So I'm just going to use pliers method. Okay, there we go. So now what I'm going to do is put these together. So I'm going to take one jump ring. I'm going to slide my one link inside my jump ring. And then I'm going to slide the other link also inside the jump ring. So I've got both of them inside the jump rings, and I'm going to twist it closed. I can either do that with my fingers or with the pliers. I'm just going to twist it closed back the same way I twisted it open. And then make sure that the little tips of your jump ring are flush together, back to back. Nice and neat. There. Nicely meeting. So there's my little ends, and they're nice and close together. And then I like the idea of having two jump rings on this. Lots of times I do that because I want it to be stronger, but also in this case, because we have double rings on each of our loops, I want to emulate that with my jump rings. So I have two rings here, a double loop here, a double loop here. Let's do a double loop with your jump rings. So I'm going to take my second jump ring. I'm going to slide it inside one of my loops to my small link, and I'm going to go to my large link and slide it inside that loop. I want to make sure that my jump ring, my other jump ring, does not get caught in there. Come on, come on, work with me, camera. Let's do it again. Okay, so let's take my jump ring, slide it inside one of my loops, avoiding the other jump ring, and then slide it inside the other loop, still avoiding the other jump ring. We don't want the two jump rings linked together. And then close the jump ring up. And make sure that those ends are flush together, backed up against each other. There we go. So it's all linked together. And now let's add it to the rest of the bracelet. Ta-da! So let's go ahead and put the rest of it together. Grab a couple more jump rings. These are my two center pieces, my three center pieces with my side links. Okay. Grab a jump ring. Attach the loop to my one center, my side centerpiece, and my second middle centerpiece, and close those loops up. Again, I want to make sure that it's nicely closed with no gaps. If I can get my fingernail in there, there's too much space. Let's grab another jump ring and slide that ring inside the jump ring. Avoid the other jump ring that I've already put on and slide it in the other link ring. Then close it up. Push those ends together and make sure that it's nice and snug, nice and tight. And there we have it. Here it is. Yay. And one of the things I like about this is that it's movable, it moves. So that when I put it on my wrist, it's not going to be all stiff. The individual links move around. But there it is. There's my bracelet. That is awesome, if I must say so myself. Now, the only other thing that I need to do is make a hook clasp. Now, you can just use a couple of jump rings and put on a lobster clasp if you like. I know there are people that prefer that. I like to make my own clasp. And I'm going to try it on, make sure it fits. If you need more jump rings, add another couple of jump rings on each side, do that. But I know that this is the right size for me. So you want to make sure you measure your wrist and then measure as you go with your piece. Oh, I love it. That is awesome. My wrist is about 7.5 inches. So what have we got? We have a little over 7 inches, about 7.1/8 inches. So now I'm going to be putting a jump ring on and adding a hook, and that will take me where I need to go. So what I'm going to do is get some 20 gauge wire, and I'm going to make a beaded hook because I like them. No other reason than that. Okay, so I'm going to get about 3.5 inches of wire, 20 gauge, off. And I'm going to measure about 1 inch and then 1/4 from the tip. About 1 inch and 1/4. Then I'm going to bend that over and have a short tail of wire, a short length of wire beside a long length of wire. Then I'm going to take my fingers and squeeze this wire, these two sides of the wire together as tightly as I can with my fingers. And again, this is still soft wire, so you should be able to manipulate it fairly easily. When I can't go any further with my fingers, I'm going to use my pliers and squeeze it the rest of the way. Squeeze it nice and tight. And there we go. And I just want the wires to be side by side. And then I'm going to go down here about 1/2 inch from the short tip. Hold on to my wire with my pliers, like so. And I'm going to bring that short end up, just straight up to the ceiling like that. So I've got my two wires side by side on the left and right. I've got my short tail of wire pointing up like so. Then I'm going to take that wire and wrap it around the long tail that I have here. Just wrap that around one full time. Make that nice and snug, nice tight wrap. And that's really short, so I'm going to use my other pliers to bring it around the rest of the way. There we go. One wrap. Nice and tight. And then I'm going to cut off that little end that I don't need. If you can hold on to it, great. Get rid of that little tip. And then push that last little tip down under the other wraps. As close as I can get. Don't want anything scratching me. Thank you very much. A little bit more. If I can feel it with my fingernail. There. Nice. So now what I'm going to do is take a bead. I'm just straightening that out. I'm going to take one of these little seed beads and bead it on. And I'm going to make a loop. So I'm going to, here are my two wires side by side. I'm going to bend my wire under the bead to the side. Just like that. Grab my round nose pliers. Slide them. It doesn't need to be a big loop, so about a quarter to a third of the way down your pliers. And I'm going to bring that tail over the top of the pliers. Almost finished. Over the top of the pliers and down the side. I'm still using my phone to let me know when I'm getting towards the hour so that I don't go over. Okay, and I bring it down to the side. Get this. Come on. I think that's better. Okay, then I'm going to take my, just for ease of movement, I'm going to hold on to my beads and my wire, open my pliers up, and reposition them back out of my way because they're in the way right now. So then I'm going to bring that tail of wire under my pliers and over the top of my bead until I have a loop. Let's take a look. It looks like it's a little lopsided, so I'm going to roll it forward until it isn't lopsided. So there we have that. Then I'm going to grab my square pliers and hold my loop while I wrap that tail around the loop one time. I only need one wrap to complete it. I'm going to snip off that little tail. Okay, get that out of the way. We had a whole inch left, about 3/4 of an inch left. So I didn't need as much as I cut, but that's all right. And let's squeeze that down. That a little tighter. I think I'm going to cut it a little shorter, in fact. I'm going to cut a little bit more of that off. About 1/8 of an inch, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. Look at that. Where's the end? It's so short. There it is. And then I'm going to push that little tail down. Nice. Nice and straight. Good. Now, I like the little tip that I cut off to be under my loop, under my hook, so that I really don't run the risk of anything catching on my clothes or scratching my arm. So this is where the little tip is. I'm going to bend back just above the rat, and bend it back just a little bit, like that. So that's what I have now. Then I'm going to take my pliers. It could be either your round or your square ones. It doesn't really matter. Straighten it out. And I'm going to go down here to the tip of where my hook's going to be. And I'm going to give that a little bend. Just bend it back just a little bit. Right there on the tip. Okay. Then I'm going to go back in with my round nose pliers right under where I just bent my wire. I'm going to slide my wire back almost to the back of my pliers. And then this is where I bent my wire. I'm going to rotate my pliers away from the little bend in my tip. So I'm going to rotate just part of the way, then open my pliers, reposition, clamp back down, rotate again, and I'm going to keep doing that until I have my shepherd's hook. Bend that back a little bit more. And there's my hook. Isn't that the cutest little thing? So let's just go ahead and put it on my bracelet. So now all I need is a jump ring or two. There's two of them that are already open. Slide my jump ring inside one of the rings of my link. Slide the hook of my closure hook on, and then close it up. Twist it closed. Go check and make sure it's nice and flush. Both of those little ends are meeting each other. There we go. And let's grab my second jump ring and do the same thing. Slide it through one of my link loops and back through the other link loop, bypassing the other jump ring. And sometimes I just go like this just to make sure it's separate. Okay, once I have that on there, just squeeze the rings together. Nice and snug. I can't get my fingernail in there. It is good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, all of you out there, everyone, 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 there is my bracelet. What do you think? I love it. Let's turn it around here. There it is. Oh, I love it. Let's put it on. Yay. All right, there it is. There is my bracelet. I love it. Isn't that awesome? I have to tell you, this is a winner. at least for me. And I hope that all of you who get kits make this. It's going to be interesting. Where is my, oh, here they are, because I've already made the kits up. And it is really going to be incredibly colorful. All different colors. Of paper beads, different stone beads, all different colors. Oh, I'm excited. Okay. Anyway, that's it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, everybody out there. Oh, oh. And it matches my earrings. Isn't that nice? I love this. This is gorgeous. And I think it passes for Art Deco without the opulence of Art Deco. What? That's it. I will stop admiring my piece while I'm on camera. It's embarrassing. But that is our piece for today. I hope you liked it. I hope the video came out okay. And I'm so glad they stopped working on the street out there so it wasn't too noisy. So if you liked it, if you didn't like it, either one, please let me know. I would really love to get your feedback. You can get in touch with us on the YouTube page, which is youtube.com/decab library. If you put that in and put in Jewelry with Jen, you'll be able to see the entire playlist of the videos, including this one. And again, that's not Facebook, that's youtube.com/decab library, DEKALB or you can go to the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/decab library, again, DEKALBLIBRARY. Or you can send me an email at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWERLYGIN20@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. I really do appreciate if there's any negative feedback, I need to hear it. If I don't hear it, I don't know what needs to be corrected. The other thing I would like is for you to tell me what you would like to see. If there's something specific or in particular, or just in general that you would like to see me do, I would love to hear from you, especially those of you who are in the DeKalb County Library area. Please contact us because we really would like to make sure that these programs are to your benefit online and in the library, because I do teach live classes as well. I would love to hear from you. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you will have a good week and a great weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.